And welcome to a new episode of The Simpsons Did It. I'm your host, Steven Skolansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Bones Skolansky.
Bones, huh? Okay, I'll be Steven Zombie Skolansky.
Ooh, that's a good one.
There we go.
That's a good one.
And just because we didn't have our very special guest last Halloween, we decided to email him and bring back Andy McElfresh back to the show for Treehouse of Horror IV.
That's my Treehouse of Horror name.
Yeah, unless you want something different, I felt it fit your name really well.
I like it.
Okay.
You took the elf. You took the elf out and killed it.
Exactly. I thought it just flowed really, really well. So yeah, we went with that.
Well, this is what we call self-congratulation over a joke.
Yes.
You have to kind of relax after the joke is done. Yeah, you'll sprain your shoulder patting yourself in the back there.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, Andy. We're glad you were able to join us.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy to be here. I like your guys' show, and I had a lot of fun doing it last time. I just disappeared off the face of the earth while I was doing that other show.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I heard it was like 180 some days, so that's a good chunk of time.
Woo.
No, it was 180 episodes.
180 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was stupid.
Well, you got to do it for half a year.
Yes.
We did it. We compressed the schedule a lot. We did 6 shows a day in the studio.
Oh, my God.
But it still took about 4 months to write it. So,
yeah. Wow.
Making TV shows, what a pain.
I know. That's why podcasting seems a little bit easier. I don't know. Maybe.
I put a lot of effort into my podcast. I don't know if you guys do.
Oh, I spend a lot of time.
I don't know if you've heard the podcast.
I spent a lot of time doing research for our podcast.
Watching The Simpsons.
Yes.
It's hard work, Andy. Hard work watching The Simpsons every chance you get.
Somebody's got to do it. The Simpsons ain't going to watch themselves.
No.
That's right. So yeah, go ahead, Robert. Let's
so this week we are doing season 5, episode 5, our favorite type of Simpsons episodes, Treehouse of Horror. This is Treehouse of Horror number 4. This aired actually 3 days before Halloween, October 28th in 1993. So I remember as a kid, I feel like they always did it on a Halloween, but I guess I was not correct on that assumption.
Well, Halloween moves from weekday to weekday.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you're dumb, so I mean.
Yeah, as a kid, that's a pretty interesting qualifier, but we'll move on.
Yeah, but I do like that they do it around Halloween. Now it's, based on sports schedules and the World Series, so you might get it like a couple weeks after Halloween, sometimes a week before Halloween. Just depends on, how the World Series shakes out, which is kind of unfortunate, but
it is not necessarily just that. I know that the first season of The Simpsons that everybody hated was done at Klasky Csupo, which is the same studio that did the Rocket Power, the show that I did with my partner Michael Bloom, and the show just it's a James Brooks show, and while he runs a pretty tight ship, he, sometimes they just won't have an episode ready because it's not good enough. And so sometimes they will be late with the show because they try to get it into the schedule, and they've especially with Treehouse of Horror, it's amazing they get them done because there's a lot more character design and special animation that they do that's interesting and cinematic and cool. So
yeah.
And speaking of that special animation, every Treehouse of Horror, they like to pan over the Springfield Cemetery. This year we get for the tombstones, Elvis, accept it. Yes, Elvis is dead.
You guys are, when I was a kid, that was such an unbelievably huge thing. And even as a kid, I'm like, of course people think Elvis is alive. He's the most impersonated man in history. Like if people walked around dressed like Napoleon, they'd be like, Napoleon's alive.
Well, I mean, I feel like Elvis, over the course of, the last 40 years, is probably the most cosplayed person.
Yeah.
I don't
Especially
know if
in
I'd say
Vegas.
cosplay. There's always that creepy element of cosplay.
Yeah.
Like
You don't
him
think
and some
you don't
furry.
think it's cosplay? You think it's someone actually believing they're Elvis, or has the
I think there's a few of those.
Oh,
I
I'm sure.
Well, you were.
I had
In
Kevin
Vegas,
at the
Robert.
I had Kevin at the Elvis Museum for Elvis's birthday one time, and for the Tonight Show, and we had a bunch of Elvis impersonators there, and like half of them were like, "Hey, there are times where you think you're Elvis," and I'm like, "No, there are not." But he's like, and these guys are like, "Oh, women fall all over you. They just want that Elvis." I'm like,
What?
They want Elvis. They don't want. All right. Anyway,
the next two I feel definitely go together for tombstones. The first one is a balanced budget, and the second tombstone is subtle political satire. Definitely very intertwined there, because obviously, and even in '93, I don't know how long that whole kind of side joke about a balanced budget for America has been going on. Obviously, especially in my lifetime, it's been a huge joke with Congress and not being able to balance the budget. But '93, I was only 6, so that probably in that time frame went way over my head.
I think in the comedy trade they call the subtle political satire tombstone in case you missed it. Or as I like to say, they're not funny if you don't explain them. So
Yeah, but to a 6-year-old, it gets. I mean, I know I've read a few articles lately, because all of us that watch The Simpsons, between the ages of 5 and 12, didn't get probably half the jokes that The Simpsons put out, and they're kind of rehashing all now that we're old enough to get these references. Like, I've read a lot of articles lately where they're like, yeah, these are the jokes you might have missed as a little kid watching The Simpsons.
Well, I mean, the thing is it worth chasing some of these down? Like, they don't really resonate you if you didn't get them, right?
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's something to be said about some of the jokes. Well, I guess some of them are more of the sexual innuendos throughout these first 5-6 seasons of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
That as kids,
And if you don't get one of those, it's called innuendo and out the other.
Oh boy. And I think my favorite.
Let me explain that joke and make it funny.
I think my favorite tombstone of the ones that we've done so far is a tombstone that says TV violence, which gets shot up and starts to bleed. I find that hilarious, just because.
Yeah, and obviously TV violence was not dead.
Oh God, no!
By any stretch of the imagination, it was so much worse.
Yes.
And Fox was leading the way, as they do in so many things.
Well, it's just amazing how much violence and even like language and all of that has become more normal even nowadays. Like on FX, TNT, like all these cable stations that used to air it all late at night, when every kids went to bed, now is basically normal. And
well, as their audience, as the audience ages and they can't stay up late, like I'm just getting back from the 4:30 specials at Caro's. I need to watch my violence then.
I mean, there is just. I mean, there's just so much. I wouldn't say violent television, but there's a ton of shows where, like, you have Law and Order, and I know Fox has, like, what is it, 911? I know that's more natural disasters, but there's just so much on TV anyways.
Yeah,
it's never going
out
away.
of control. We're just watching Yellow Jackets. Kevin's like, you got to watch Yellow Jackets. So we're watching it. I'm like, this is a show about a girls' soccer team that gets in a crash and eats each other. I don't know.
Jesus.
It's gone pretty far. I don't know how you come back from that one.
Well, I've been watching the Peacemaker series, which is phenomenal show, and there's a ton of violence in that. Now that's more fantastical violence, but it's still violence.
Yeah, but HBO gets away with way more
That
than
is
cable
true.
TV does.
Oh yeah.
Is that HBO? No, it's got to be. No, is it?
No,
HBO?
it is HBO Max.
Wow, what do you know about that?
Yeah.
It's a far cry from the HBO Max show I did with the Full Bloom Flower Show. There's
Yes.
not a lot of
Well,
violence
can't
on that show.
flowers can be violent, can't they?
Listen, if you're gonna tee me up, you got to give me a premise I can work with.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the couch. We actually get a couch gag for a Treehouse of Horror episode. This is awesome.
Well, you know what? Technically, this is a Halloween special. They still
Yes.
haven't. It's
Yeah.
a
That
Halloween
is true.
special 4.
Yeah,
That is true.
it is kind of. I didn't mention that, but yeah, I thought it was still weird. I don't know. I mean, obviously we could look it up, but it's just fun knowing when all of a sudden the title changes to Treehouse of Horror, and
I want to say 6, but I'm probably wrong.
and the fact that they didn't start with 1.
Yes.
Treehouse of
Well,
Horror
I think that
1.
they were just. It's one of those things where you're like, hey, you know what? We could have made a joke about that. How did we miss it?
Yeah.
And, so.
But the
And
couch gag.
in fact, speaking of making jokes, I think this is like one of the last Conan O'Brien episodes, right? Do you guys know? Because he goes right into his show right after this.
Yeah, I don't think there's much in the way of Conan after this Treehouse of Horror.
No wonder this is my favorite Treehouse of Horror, Conan.
Yeah. I mean, Conan did some of. I think Conan definitely did some of the best, writing for this show. I mean, obviously, a lot of writers end up moving on, but you kind of have to. I mean, you kind of have to, give way for new writers,
and plus he had important work to do. I mean, hundreds of people watched his show when he was hosting late night.
Yeah. So, oh, that's right, Mr. Leno over there. Yeah. Gotta drop that bomb. But yeah, looking at the Simpsons.
You're supposed to support your guests, guys.
Oh, right, go Leno! Yay!
I did like Leno's Man on the Street, but that was always fun.
I probably shot 250 of those.
Oof, man.
A lot of work. A lot of fun, though.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Good guy.
So
you are right. This was Conan's last writing credit. I don't know if he did anything in the back end for The Simpsons after that, but yeah, this is the last episode he got a writing credit, and it was actually only for the wraparounds. It wasn't for any of the particular episodes.
Interesting.
Within it.
That explains the weak wraparounds.
It'd be great if Conan actually listened to our podcast and heard that, but it'll never happen.
No, he's too busy watching. He's too busy watching old episodes of his own show.
All the hundreds of Conan.
Yes, I know.
All the hundreds of Conan O'Brien fans are fiercely writing to you right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although I heard some of Team Coco got in a plane crash and they're all eating each other. So,
so the couch gag.
That was just so that was a callback, so you'd have to keep that first comment in.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Okay. So the couch gag for this episode, we get zombified Simpsons coming up through the floorboard and sitting down. And of course, I mean, it's a Halloween episode. You got to do something Halloweenish with, zombie Simpsons. And we get more spooky names from the, executive producer stuff and whoever they put on the credits at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
So we start this episode with Bart walking by paintings, and he passes by Lisa in a version of The Scream, Marge's shadow on the wall in the style of De Chirico, Homer, which is Van Gogh's self-portrait, Maggie with melted pacifiers, which is a representation of Dolly's persistence of memory, and then Homer chasing Bart, which is Escher's ascending and descending painting. I've never seen any of these paintings in real life.
What?
I've seen The Scream. I've seen The Scream. That's the only one I've seen.
So if it's not on a T-shirt, you haven't seen it?
Correct.
Wow. You've never seen Persistence of Memory with all the melty clock faces?
Oh, yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
All right. And then Escher's, ascending and descending, that's part of his... Like, did you see
I've seen
Labyrinth
Stairs
with David Bowie and Stephanie Zimbalist Jr.
Yes,
well,
I have.
Those you have seen that painting. Then in that movie, they did a few different Escher paintings in there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably of all the Simpsons art, that's probably one of my favorite ones. I mean, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, they did a really good job with the paintings. And this is a parody of Rod Serling's Night Gallery.
Not Sterling.
Serling. I added the T.
Mm-hmm. It's like the L in Slansky.
Yes. So Bart's like, paintings, lifeless images rendered in colorful goop. At night, they take on lives of their own. They become portraits to hell, so scary and horrible and gruesome that, Bart, you should warn people this episode is very frightening, and maybe
that's your Marge.
I can't do a really scratchy voice. Bart, I don't know. You should warn these people. This episode is very frightening, and maybe they'd rather listen to that old War of the Worlds broadcast on NPR. I've heard recordings of the War of the Worlds broadcast, and I don't know. Andy, you weren't obviously around for that, were you?
Well, thank you for that.
I don't think you were around.
First of all, we skipped right over Rod Serling's Night Gallery, which
yes, we did.
I've seen. No. That's his follow-up to The Twilight Zone, and it is, he would take you to a mysterious, exactly like this, black seamless background with paintings hanging, and then he'd say this painting, and then it would take you into the episode. It was just a way of doing wraparounds or setups. Yeah. And the show is surprisingly funny. There's a funny one, like John Astin, who played Gomez Addams in The Addams Family and is Sean Astin's dad. Okay. He does one where he's a hippie and he gets in a car crash, and he wakes up in this room that is all this like tacky mid-century modern furniture. He's like, man, this place is square, and everything about it. And then there's like cheesy Mantovani, which is like the Longines Symphonette. It's like these cheesy orchestra music starts playing on a record player, and he looks at the record player, and there's a stack of records on it that stretches up into infinity.
Okay.
Like, it's really funny. Like, it's clever and ironic and good. Because he didn't have to do 42 episodes a year like he did on Twilight Zone.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, a lot of fun to be had there.
Yeah, the War of the Worlds bit, that was pretty cool. I love the fact that many people actually believe that that actually was happening as Orwell was reading it.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I mean, they, breaking that fourth wall on radio turns out not a great idea.
No. Well, I mean, didn't they have TV-based shows or like scripted shows on radio back then, or not really? Was it more just...
No, they had a lot of scripted shows. I mean, the most popular shows were scripted. A lot of comedy from Fred Allen to Jack Benny, but all of the dramas like CBS Radio Theater, which I think it was either that or Playhouse, CBS Playhouse. But CBS was also like had the best news.
Oh, gotcha.
And when they're doing a show and say, ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this broadcast, that's how they would interrupt a broadcast, with the news. And it's pretty great. I mean, it's, Orson Welles is such a sly fox. He's a pretty crazy guy. And I just love that. But evidently there were a lot fewer people actually fooled by it than, it was played up to be. That was also part of his plan, was to really hype that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So, and apparently they're doing this warning in a theater because Marge says she's going to get earrings at the gift shop. And I don't know any
No, she's at a museum. She's at a museum.
Okay, I suppose museums have gift shops too.
They all have gift shops. Have you not seen Exit Through the Gift Shop? The Banksy story?
No. I'm not very cultured.
I get it. No, I'm sorry. You haven't been to a museum. Museums are those places. You're like, I have never seen a painting, and I have never seen a gift shop. I'm like, well, that could only mean one thing.
See,
I live under a rock.
See, I'm lucky. I have a wife that loves going to museums, so I kind of have to go. So
I've been to a couple museums in my life. Just two.
So that place that has all the books and postcards in it,
isn't that a library?
That's a gift shop.
Oh.
It's the only thing that doesn't have a little card next to it explaining what it is.
Okay, now that makes sense. So Bart starts talking about our first story, about the devil painting behind him, and I love right as he's about to say the devil, Maggie takes her pacifier and shoves it in his mouth to get him to shut up. That was really funny. But so we go on into our first
Do you know what that's a
story.
reference to? You ever hear the expression "speak of the devil"?
Yes, I have.
It's speak of the devil and the devil appears, and so she does that. It's just a dumb reference.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's okay. That's all right.
You guys don't care. This
No,
when you
I
hem and haw
that
like
was-
that,
No, that was
it's you writing like cut that part out.
No, I honestly, that's a good pull. I did not. That did
no,
not
I didn't
even
know that
cross
either.
my mind.
Yep.
So that's why when somebody shows up, you say "speak of the devil," and it's
Okay.
like you were talking about them.
Yeah, I hate when people show up when you're talking about them. Anyway, so we get our first.
Listen, I could
story.
easily not show up if that's what you.
I was like, "Where's Andy?" And then I get this random email. Where's the link? I'm like, you must have.
I know
heard
you
me.
sent the link. I sent the email when you sent the link,
Oh,
and then I got the link.
Speak of the devil. All right. So the first story we got Devil and Homer Simpson. So we get Homer starting the episode. He's at a modeling show that features donuts.
I want
this
to
is
be
like
at that show.
A catwalk.
A catwalk,
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to be at that show where they're modeling donuts.
Yeah, we got I think there was a raspberry
Cream.
one or raspberry cream was the first one he was looking at.
Yep.
Not a big fan of raspberry, but the donut looked pretty good. And
We're gonna rate the donuts in the donut fashion show parody.
Yeah.
Well, there's only
We can-
one donut,
Yeah,
so
we
I
only
mean,
got to see one donut. I mean, it was pretty sad.
Right, but it's like you can't taste them, and they're animated.
yes.
We do realize at the end of this episode, Homer does eat his. Okay, we won't get there yet.
I know,
Spoiler
spoiler
alert.
alert!
Yeah.
Jeepers!
So Homer wakes up to no more donuts at the plant because Lenny and Carl ate the last of the donuts.
They did
And
not
also-
eat the last of the donuts.
They also threw donuts at Abe Simpson.
Mhm.
And he gets
Seagulls.
chased by pecking seagulls. That's
Oh.
great. I love how Abe's just hanging out at the nuclear power plant. Just wanted to see where Homer was working, I guess.
Are you underlining the lack of realism in an animated TV show?
Also, this is a Halloween episode, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not part of canon.
Yeah. So,
See, thank you, Andy. Thank you.
some of it is. Some of it can be. Some of it can be.
Oh man!
Which I don't know if it's.
Don't
this
destroy
episode.
his dreams, is what he's saying to us.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But I do think it is kind of funny at some points in The Simpsons where just random characters show up just for gags.
Just for a gag.
reason.
That's
My
what
fav-
we
my
call.
favorite-
That's.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's what we call a throwaway gag.
Yeah.
Yes, or one-off, and my favorite in all of The Simpsons is when Homer gets close to having an affair with the country singer.
Yep.
Oh
And-
yes.
In order to break up with her, he writes down his thoughts on his hand, and then there's a guy coming the other way with a giant hand and a huge speech written on it. It's so stupid. It's unbelievable.
He must work at the nuclear power plant too.
Hmm. Probably got the hand there.
Exactly. So I guess it was crows, not seagulls, attacking Abe Simpson.
Yeah.
And I like how he thinks they're attacking him because he's dead. Because they think he's dead.
Yeah.
That's crows like attacking the dead. Or ripping.
Thanks for
apart
explaining the
dead.
joke.
Yep.
You know, they're pecking at him as if he is a dead corpse,
Yes.
Yes.
or a corpse, or dead. Either one, or three.
We never know how close to the grave Abe Simpson really is, though.
you know, he's got that melted ice cream cone look of the very, very aged. So yeah, they'll use it. But it's also it could be a Birds reference. The Birds.
Oh yeah, it could be
because they're crows.
Yeah, they do that later on. I can't remember which episode, but the best part is when Hans Moleman's in the phone booth and the birds are attacking it. I don't know if that's a regular episode or a tree. I feel like that's Treehouse, but I'm not entirely sure. But that is a very fun
It's got to be. Poor Moleman.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be. Yeah, but yeah,
he bounces back though.
Hans Moleman always bounces back.
Yeah,
yeah.
Invincible Hans Moleman, who's only 31 years old. Doesn't look it. Yeah. What was it? Alcohol.
All right, so we've made it all the way through the Abe Simpson being attacked by birds.
Yes.
Yes,
so
we did
for us.
So Homer...
It's been a half hour, and we're about a minute and a half into the episode.
So we cut to Homer Simpson, who has himself remain calm and to remember his training, and then opens up a book titled Emergency Procedures, where he cut a hole and some pages out and left himself a note that reads, "Dear Homer, I owe you one emergency donut, signed Homer."
Damn it, that guy's always one step ahead of me.
And then Homer decides to say he would sell his soul for a donut, and we get the first appearance of Devil Flanders.
It's always the ones you least expect.
Yeah. And
have you guys seen Fantasia, the Disney movie?
Yes.
Oh God, it's been so long.
That's what he's but that's who he's modeled after.
Oh, the devil from that.
He looks like the devil in Fantasia. Yeah. That's just a reference. It doesn't make sense.
No, I guess I'll have to go back. I mean, obviously the most famous Fantasia scene is just the Mickey Mouse with the barrels and the brooms. Mops. Everything else I feel like I've completely forgotten from that movie.
You remember the hippos and tutus, don't you?
Yeah, vaguely.
All right, well, they just ruined it for me.
Sorry. Yes, Andy, I do remember. But yeah, so Flanders talks about how people want to sell their soul without thinking about the ramifications, as Homer himself has a donut or not, as he's signing and
eating the donut.
As he's eating the donut, yes. And I like how Flanders hands him the pen. He's like, "Careful, hot pen," and it just bursts into flames.
That's fantastic.
I don't think I've ever wanted to sell my soul for anything super crazy. I mean, not necessarily a donut. Lots of money, yes, but I don't know if a donut is high on my list of wanting to sell my soul for it.
But remember, this is Homer, so...
Yes. I feel like
I didn't know that we'd get into a metaphorical discussion of actual soul selling. But I guess...
Which is weird, because we don't have souls, so I mean...
No, we don't.
Yeah, I think the Team Coco guys, the Team Coco guys I insulted would be like, well, he sold his soul when he worked for Leno, so...
So Flanders gets, Homer's, trying to eat the donut. He's like, once you finish that donut, your soul is mine. It's like, wait.
Well, you skipped a part.
What's that?
You skipped Burns and Smithers watching them.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Burns and Smithers. Yeah, they're watching the TVs, and Burns asks, "Who's that goat-legged fellow? I like the cut of his jib." And Smithers responds, "Oh, he's the Prince of Darkness. And he's your 11 o'clock.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I love that. I love those cutaways to the evil Mr. Burns.
Yeah, and that's how he got all of his money, obviously, Devil Flanders. But it's just funny that they didn't keep going with the devil look that they've previously alluded to in The Simpsons.
But this is a Treehouse of Horror episode.
Yeah, but wasn't the devil in one of the earlier Treehouses of
Horror? Well, there was a picture of the devil giving Burns money.
Yeah. So I guess they really haven't. I guess all the other devils were real in this one. So this one's although the devil could appear as he pleases. So
I was about to say, the devil is modeled after a walking and talking goat. So as long as you get the horns and the tail and the eyeballs, you're good to go. And the hooves.
Yeah. So the demon from hell shows up with a donut, and his apron reads "Hell's Kitchen."
That's fantastic.
Which is a terrible pun. Terrible.
It's fantastic.
I love it. It's the greatest joke in the show. So
and then Gordon Ramsay steals it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's where Gordon Ramsay got that from. Got it.
Stole it from The Simpsons, obviously.
No, you don't want that guy yelling at you, so I'd cut that joke out.
As long as we're not talking about food, I think we're fine, right?
Well, we are talking about donuts.
Shit, we are talking about food. Damn it. All right. So Flanders is obviously trying to tell Homer that once he finishes the donut, the devil gets his soul. But Homer interrupts and asks, well, if I don't finish the donut, you don't get my soul, do you? It's like, well, I'm smarter than the devil. I'm smarter than the devil. And Flanders, does this big exploding body transformation. It's like, you are not smarter than me. And
so this is so the demon he transforms into the demon Chernabog, which is from A Night on the Bald Mountain segment from Fantasia.
Yeah, that's where he looks like the guy. And Night of Bald Mountain is it's very dark. You've heard that song. I'm not going to sing it for you. We don't have the rights to it. I can only do the first 3 notes.
We don't want to get sued.
Wait, isn't it 10 seconds or is it actually 3 seconds?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I gotta start paying attention to the fine print in this business.
Yeah, I thought I looked it up once and I thought it was 10 seconds, but I guess I could be wrong.
I believe it is 10 seconds, but
gosh, if only there were some sort of research tool easily at hand on our computers that would allow us to find the.
Yeah, we'll guesstimate. It's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, the devil says he will see Homer Simpson in hell yet. And Homer's like, yeah, not likely. And he puts his donut in his shirt pocket. But obviously Homer can't stay full for long. And he gets up in the middle of the night for a late night snack. And he goes for the soul donut. And I love this line. Forbidden donut.
And I mean, literally, he could have taken that donut and put it down the garbage disposal and gotten another donut. And would have been fine.
Yes,
yeah? But Homer is dumb.
Yeah, Homer is dumb, but unfortunately we needed a way to push the story along too, so he decided to keep the donut for, Devil Flanders' sake. And Flanders shows up, and a portal from hell opens. Oh wait, I'm sorry. He eats the donut.
Yes.
Because, and then Flanders shows up finishing something. And the kids show up. Marge shows up. Homer, did you eat that donut? No. And then it's just portal
I just love the casual way that when the kids come down, Devil Flanders just casually says hello to Bart, and Bart it was like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, because we all know
they've already met in that form.
Yep.
Yes, they have.
He's a spawn of Satan.
Mm-hmm.
And
so now, Lisa wants to save Homer's life or soul and asks about the right to a fair trial.
Well, yes.
Which is from, it's The Devil and Daniel Webster is what this is based on.
Okay.
Which is it's a movie. It's originally it's originally a story, a book, but that's what, there is a reference to this. So
okay,
that's why they go to a trial. That's what makes it believable to those of us who have actually read books.
Yes.
What's a book?
You buy them in museum gift shops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what my library app on my phone is for. I don't need to go to libraries no more.
You kids and your fancy pocket computers.
Hey, man, I got sick of them paper cuts.
How are you getting paper cuts reading a book?
Because they don't come with instructions on how to turn the pages.
Aggressive page turning, that's how.
Wow.
Oh, God.
I guess Dan Brown sent you to the hospital. He did the Da Vinci Code for those of... Because every chapter, he has 3-page chapters. Every chapter ends with, and what happened next would change the course of mankind. And then you turn the page and it's like, the milk smelled a little sour, but he continued to drink it. Like, it's just that nothing happened.
Your typical page-turning book.
Yeah.
Yes. So, so Lisa asks for a fair trial, and Flanders is upset because, the American justice system, he's like, this is much easier in Mexico.
Oof.
Tough.
Which I guess I've never read Mexico. I don't know if Mexico has a constitution. I'm assuming they do.
Yes, they have laws.
Yes, they do. What do you mean?
Like you can have laws without a
It's a democratic republic. They have states. They vote.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think the reference is more to the prison system of Mexico and what
it's more to the justice system is corrupt,
yes.
and you can just do what you want.
Yes. And so, Flanders agrees to the trial, but Homer has to spend the day in hell. And I love how he turns his pitchfork into a plunger to get Homer to go down the portal because he's too fat. I love it. So we get, Homer falls through the portal and he lands on a conveyor belt. He's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And then a demon just chops him up into pieces. And I love the fact that the demon takes Homer's lips and his shoes and puts it in a barrel or a bucket labeled hot dog meat. Because that's what hot dogs are made of.
Homer Simpson lips and shoes.
Lips and assholes.
Yep. And so now we go to Hell Lab's Ironic Punishment Division, where Homer is forced to eat donuts, all the donuts in the world, and he enjoys it. And this scene is a parody of the Merry Melodies cartoon Pigs is Pigs, which I've never seen.
Really? That's a pretty famous bit. I remember watching. Was that black and white, or was that actually a color episode of Merry Melodies?
I remember everything in color.
Yeah, okay.
That's how I work.
Yeah. But no, it's
this is also a reference, in Dante's Inferno, there is a punishment called a contrapasso, where the punishment is in the form of the sin.
Okay, yeah.
And so that's what they're doing, but that's also the Pigs is Pigs, that's where they took it.
Yep, and I actually have the fat Homer Simpson. It's like not a plush toy, but it was like one of those what you squeeze your hand to exercise it, like stress balls. Mm-hmm. And it's the Homer Simpson fat sitting in the chair stuffed with donuts. And my kid once asked, he's like, why is Homer Simpson so big? And I explained this scene to him. And now every time he sees that stupid thing, he's like, Homer ate all the donuts? I'm like, yes, Homer ate all the donuts.
Like father, like son.
Yeah.
Think about it, won't you?
My kid is definitely starting to recognize Simpsons and my Simpsons collection a lot more. I got the Simpsons arcade 1-up machine in my bedroom, and he likes, playing on that. And my wife still thinks he's too young to watch episodes. But I'm like, he knows the characters already. What's the harm in letting him watch an episode? Or all of
them. This is me not commenting on your parenting.
Oh God. So I didn't understand this reference. I didn't understand this next reference. So the demon doesn't understand what's going on. He goes, I don't understand. James Coco went mad in 15 minutes. And the reason I don't understand this reference is because I don't know who James Coco is.
James Coco was a character actor who one might mistake for Dom DeLuise back in the day, although he didn't usually have a beard.
Okay.
And he was famous for being a sort of a gourmand, heavyset man, if you will.
Okay.
Which is terrifying when you look at him and Haas and the other fat people from the 50s and 60s, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm fatter than that guy. But he also, there was a comic strip in the 70s called The Dumplings, and it was just a very boring comic strip about a couple that were fat, and they just didn't mind being fat.
Yeah.
And they made a TV show, and James Coco played the husband in the Dumplings. And so in that show, he's constantly shoving food in his face. So I'm guessing that somehow made it in there. Like James Coco is they're like, we're going to finally take James Coco down a peg. Ironically, Team Coco are the people that watch. Anyway, continue.
We like stuffing our face with Conan O'Brien, and we don't go mad. Like Homer Simpson eating donuts.
That's kind of interesting that you don't go mad stuffing your face with Conan O'Brien's shows.
Do they not go mad?
Well, they have to already be there if they're watching it.
Oh. Okay.
Watch an entitled Harvard graduate complain about he didn't get the show he wanted.
Oh my God. All right. So the clock hits midnight and we get like this fire cage come up out of the floor and Homer appears, but his head isn't attached. So he has to reattach it, which is kind of funny. And I love, so they got Lionel Hutz. They got Phil Hartman to do this episode, and he walks through the door, combing his hair with a fork. And obviously, I feel like this is a reference to The Little Mermaid. It has to be, right? Also, I know Lionel Hutz is poor.
I guess it's a Little Mermaid. I mean,
because she uses the fork to comb her hair.
She does use the fork to comb her hair. I want to be where the people are. That's all I can sing because it's 3 seconds.
There we go. Perfect.
And I love Hutz telling Homer not to worry.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Because he watched Matlock last night. It's like
in a bar.
Simpson, don't worry. I watched Matlock in a bar last night, but the sound wasn't on. But I think I got the gist of it.
Oh God, I love Lionel Hutz. Such a great character.
He's so great. Phil Hartman is the best.
Yeah, yes he was. So then we get a pentagram shows up on.
You know that
floor.
he played Clinton on the Tonight Show.
He did. Yes, he did.
He was the go-to Clinton.
Mm-hmm. Did a good job with that.
Oh yeah.
It was awesome, is what you meant to say.
Was he? On the Tonight Show, did he?
You guys are Team Coco. That's what I'm getting from this.
I'm Team Craig Ferguson.
Ferguson's a super nice guy. I went to Montreal Comedy Festival, and I was doing this bit called Pass the Mic, where I'd have comedians, celebrities, just tell a joke into the mic and then pass it out of the frame as if they were passing it to the next guy.
Okay.
And then somebody would pull it into frame and tell a joke. And so I asked him if he'd do a joke for the Tonight Show, and he goes, "My boss would kill me," meaning David Letterman.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." and when he appeared in the bit on the show, the audience, we had to edit the bit because the audience did an applause break through the next 2 jokes.
Oh,
they were so happy to see him do that. It was very charming.
That's awesome.
All right, there you go. You press play on my Craig Ferguson story.
Yes, I did.
That's good. Well, at least he was not bashing him, so that's good. So yeah, the pentagram on the floor.
And we get the Grim Reaper as the judge. Because, I mean,
the Grim Reaper?
I feel like it was. I mean, I could be wrong.
Doesn't he need a scythe? Do you ever see the Grim Reaper's face?
Well, I mean, the it's a skeleton in a robe.
Right, but there's no scythe. If he's going to reap, he needs something to reap with.
Yeah, the gavel. He turned his scythe into a gavel.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that.
It was
off camera.
Yeah, it was off camera. As he appeared, yes.
Yeah. So the Court of Infernal Affairs is now in order.
Oh boy.
The ground rules, you get a bathroom break every half hour, which the devil agrees to, and the jury will be selected by the devil, which Hutz agrees to and then realizes is error, but he's already agreed, so the devil Flanders like, "Nope, you've already agreed to it. I'm going to pick the jury now."
Yep. And so we get the jury of the damned. Benedict Arnold, Lizzie Borden, Richard Nixon. Hey, I'm not dead yet.
Well, I did a favor for you, which obviously is a reference to Watergate.
No, that is not a favor. It must have been something else, because Watergate did not go well for.
Yeah,
but he got to resign. He didn't get impeached.
See, history is one of those things that they write about in books, which you can find at the gift shop at a. Oh, he got to resign. Oh, what an honor! Thank you.
Well, he didn't get impeached. Well, he didn't get impeached and prosecuted like he should have been. Anyways,
John Wilkes Booth, Blackbeard the pirate, and John Dillinger, and also the starting line of the 1976 Philadelphia Flyers.
Yep. Although the colors they are shown in were blue and white, But they're I
Right.
wonder if it's because of the background, maybe. Because their colors are orange and black for anybody who's not a hockey fan or doesn't know anything about the Philadelphia Flyers. But I'm wondering if they went with the blue and white because of the background, maybe.
I grew up in Philly. I went to games.
I'm sorry
they
for
didn't
you.
want to get. I mean, there's nothing more copyrighted than
Oh, that's true.
professional sports uniform.
They could
And
have
they were
just put
taking a shot at
orange.
it, but they were the Broad Street Bullies.
They
They
were.
were the Broad Street Bullies. They were famously the roughest team
Yep.
in hockey, and
Yep.
like on their trading cards, like Dave Schultz, their enforcer on the team, has like bruises and missing teeth in his trading card photo. It's unbelievable. They were
That's
just.
hilarious.
I once saw him go over the glass. I was at a game with my parents, and I saw this guy was drunk and up against the glass
Oh,
on the,
jeez.
in the crowd, and he's yelling at Schultz as Schultz is in a fight, and then he reaches over the glass and grabs Schultz's hockey stick,
Oh, wow.
and Schultz just climbs over the glass and beats the shit out of the guy. It was awful. It was terrifying. Like I
How
did not
tall was
really
the-
enjoy
how ta-
hockey after that.
How tall was the glass in the 70s?
It was this is on the side, not behind the net, but on
Gotcha. On
the
the
know,
side
like
there.
that little area between the penalty box
Yeah.
and the tall glass. And
Okay.
I mean, you got a 6'6", 240-pound dude wearing skates on his feet, beating somebody up, and they pulled the guy out. And it turns out the guy was, it says on the ticket that you can't interfere with the game. That
correct.
puts you completely in the wrong. So, but that was awful.
That
And
sounds
that's who they
awful.
were. It's like even their,
Oh.
it was bad.
Yeah.
I guess Bernie Perrant, the goalie, was the only one who didn't really get in any fight.
Even though the goalie was part of the lineup of the damned.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
He was.
That is
Yes,
true.
he was. Yeah. So Marge gives Blackbeard a high chair, which was the only chair left, and he's like, "This chair be high," says I.
Yeah, they just have to get that. Ooh, it reminds me of. Are you guys excited for Our Flag Means Death, which is the Taika Waititi pirate TV show that's coming to Disney?
No,
It's gonna be good.
Have I not heard? Man, I usually think I follow Disney Plus pretty well. I guess I haven't heard that one.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
All right, I'll have to keep an eye out that. I do like the newer Disney Plus shows have actually been relatively good. So,
And with that endorsement, you're gonna make it right onto the back of the DVD. Steven Slansky says, "Yeah, the later ones have been okay."
all right.
Wow. So you're like the rest of the world. You're like, yeah, Baby Yoda, he's okay.
Hey,
We're not excited by that. Book of
actually
Boba
love-
Fett, maybe I'll watch it if it's on.
It's on.
If it's
I don't
on-
think
it's on
kids see.
streaming. So
I was gonna say I don't think kids get that reference, Andy. I get that reference,
Yes.
but I don't think the kids these days get that reference. If it's on, I'll watch it.
And so I do like Hutz. He's like the dictionary, Webster's dictionary defines an agreement as an unbreakable under the law. Unbreakable. And God, he's like, can I use the restroom? Okay.
Yeah, he's
And
the worst lawyer of all time.
Yes, it's fantastic.
But he is 100% on all his cases. He's never lost a case. Worst lawyer ever, but he never loses.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, take a
I
look.
think I'm pretty sure he stumbles into his victories by pure
go
coincidence.
back and look. He is the worst lawyer in the Simpsons history, but he has never lost a case.
Okay, well, good to know.
Yeah. So if you ever want a good lawyer, go for Hutz. And so as Homer's about to be sentenced, to eternity in hell, Marge shows the jury a photo album of Homer in the emergency room after he ate the entire wedding cake at their wedding.
Before the wedding.
Or before the, yes. Well, at the wedding, before the wedding, yes, same thing. But I like how Blackbeard...
No. You see, when you're at something,
It's happening before you're not
same
there.
thing.
But you're still at
Pre-op,
the
operation, same thing. Pre-game show, game, same thing.
Same thing. But Blackbeard looks at the back of Marge and Homer's wedding photo. He's like, 'tis some kind of treasure map. And then Benedict Arnold goes, "You idiot, you can't read." "Aye, 'tis true. My debauchery was my way of compensation." Or compensating.
Yes.
Yeah. Just to look into the psychology behind Blackbeard's failure as a reader.
Yes.
He too needs to go to a museum to find books.
I like the endorsement. Thank you. I'll take that.
Obviously Homer pledged his soul to Marge, so he can keep it. But Flanders turns Homer's head into a donut for all of eternity.
As a reminder
of screwing over Devil Flanders. And I like to point out that this was one of Funko's Funko Pops, which both me and my brother have. That is a fantastic Funko Pop.
As is Devil Flanders.
As is Devil Flanders. And
is the Funko Pop missing pieces where he's eaten them already?
It is, yes. And he's actually holding a piece of his head in his hand.
Well, if that was available for sale on eBay, I know I would pay top dollar for it. Isn't that what you guys are going for here?
Yes.
I'm not selling it.
I'm just saying, when Funko makes Simpsons Pops lately, they are very selective, and they do some of the best pulls for their Funko Pops.
Yep.
Not the best. Some of the best.
Some of the best. Well, I mean, obviously Funko has
Disney Plus is pretty good. Funko Pop, I give them a B-.
Oh, God.
All right.
I love how Homer, as Steve said, keeps eating himself, and he's like, "Oh, time to go to work." And Lisa's like, "I wouldn't go out there if I were you." And the entire Springfield Police Department is waiting for Homer to leave his house because, as the reference is, all cops love donuts.
He's got to leave his house sometimes, boys.
I mean, they just will never, ever let that trope go.
Nope.
Never.
No, they will not. So now we go back to Bart looking at paintings, and he's like, "The school bus? Oh, they must mean the ghoul bus." And then Lisa comes in a frame. "Nope, they mean the school bus." And Bart's like, "Well, going to school can be pretty scary."
Thank you, Conan.
Yep. And so this episode is Terror at 5.5 feet. I almost said 5,000.5 feet, but no, Terror at 5.5 feet. And this is a parody of the Twilight Zone episode Nightmare at 20,000 feet, which I feel like I've seen
starring
William Shatner.
That is correct.
Oh, I did not know that.
A young William Shatner.
Yes.
And then in the movie, it was John Lithgow.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. No, William Shatner, takes place on a plane where he sees a fuzzy-looking gremlin, Bigfoot-looking thing out on the wing. I really can't tell what that is. Was it supposed to look more like a Bigfoot? Like, was that kind of what they were going for?
It was just a gremlin. It was somebody's idea of what a gremlin was.
Oh, okay.
Gremlins were, in World War II, they would just, because they were building, 150 planes a day or some crazy number, and these pilots would take them up and they would have mechanical failures and all kinds of weird things would happen. And there just was they didn't know the cause. They would always say it was gremlins, that some mysterious weird force was actually, so this, the Terror at 20,000 feet was bringing that idea to life. And of course, only one person could see it, so everyone thought he was crazy, which is a very Rod Serling paranoia, Philip K. Dick style, paranoid story to get you into the science fiction.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So this episode starts on the school bus with Milhouse and Bart looking at the version 8 of Krusty trading cards. The trading cards they look at are Krusty visits relatives in Annapolis, Maryland, and Krusty poses for a trading card photo, which is fantastic.
I love that. It's very close to one of my favorite Simpsons jokes of all time, which is they're at the library and Bart opens the latest Where's Waldo? And it's a picture of Waldemar, and he goes, "Oh man, he's not even trying anymore."
That's fantastic.
That's so good.
And so Bart, Chris is like, "Oh, they're not trying anymore." Bart's like, "Well, at least you got the gum." And I remember getting baseball cards as a kid, and the gum coming with it, and it being awful,
just hard as a rock, and breaking into thousands of pieces in your mouth.
And Milhouse, tries to eat the gum, and he's like, "Oh, it cut my cheek." I don't remember having the gum cut me on the inside of the cheek, but I remember it not being great.
I still don't know.
Well, this is the case of an animated show taking something to an extreme.
Yeah,
that is true.
What was Topps even thinking when they decided? Was it just to get children to buy baseball cards? Because I feel like baseball, as America's pastime, most kids would probably buy the cards without the gum, or is that not really the case?
Well, it's always, I think it was just part of the evolution. Now you buy, Pokemon cards just in a pack. It doesn't come with gum. But back in the day, the first baseball cards were on the back of cigarettes, a little cigarette pack. So like the Honus Wagner card was on a cigarette package. And then there would be, on baseball cards, they would have them, you would cut them out of the back of a cereal box. But they always seem to come with something. So this was the, and the Fleer bubblegum company was also, that was our Philadelphia version of Topps.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
It was great. Going to my grandparents, always you could smell gum for about 15 blocks before you got there and on the way back in Overbrook. It's awesome. The gum was not good, but it was awesome.
So in the so the wheel on the bus is like spinning, but it's like loose. And the wheel falls off, and the bus is about to crash into a semi when Bart wakes up. As we see it was all just a dream. And I love how he like feels his bed, and he's like, "God, I hope that's sweat."
Little kids and waking up, having an accident in their bed.
I mean, he could have sweat through that dream. I've done that before. Now, granted, that's usually been like a fever dream where I'm sick, where I've sweat a lot, but. Not.
I'm gonna let you guys have this one. You guys go right on ahead, explore that having accidents, sweating. Love to hear it.
When I've drank too
I'll just
much.
continue with charming stories about bubblegum factories.
So Bart is freaked out. So now it's the next morning. Bart is freaked out about his dream, and he comes downstairs, and Lisa's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, I had a vision about my death." And, this kind of reminded me of the movie Final Destination.
I know. That's kind of what I was going for, too. The whole dream, waking up, and then something real actually transpiring after
had Final Destination come out at this point?
No. Final Destination was definitely when I was still in high school, so probably 99, 98, 99 is, I think, when it came out.
Yeah,
it always just bugs me when you call something like put the word "final" in the title and then there's like 4 sequels.
Yes.
Oh God. So Marge gives him a bowl of cereal or bowl of something, and he's about to eat, and Homer comes in, blows an air horn, and he's wearing a life jacket, and he has other life. He's like, "Marge, look at all this great stuff I found at the marina that some guy just left in his boat." Homer, that is called thievery, and that's in this case it's probably a misdemeanor because the items probably don't even total up to like $50. But
that was cool.
Wow, you really thought this through. I'm just thinking about the opening title shot where there is no marina. Like, what marina is he at Springfield?
Well, if you remember Cape Fear.
Cape Fear.
Fear was out of town, I guess.
Yes.
Well, they have the Springfield. See, that's the thing we haven't gotten to yet in The Simpsons. So the Simpsons are on some sort of water because in later episodes, there's a boardwalk, there's a pier, there's something within Springfield where they have.
Oh yeah, because Marge almost Homer I think was driving the car and it like kind of got away from him and he almost drove it into a lake.
Yeah. So I mean, and then
that's true. There's lakes there. They're always out there in the woods. Also, you can't have a nuclear power plant without water. You need to be on the water.
Well, yeah, that's where they found Blinky.
Cases. Yeah, there's the stream off of the nuclear power plant. But I don't know if that was necessarily a lake. That was more of a river.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a marina there. Although there's marinas in like Portland, Oregon. That's a river.
Yep. So I think it holds up.
Yep. So,
okay. You guys will defend the show to the death if I come up with anything, right. And yet you're like, now how could gum cut your cheek?
So Lisa and Bart head out to the bus, and Bart gets on the bus, and he sees Skinner riding the bus.
Yeah, he's like, "Hello, Simpson. I'm riding the bus today because Mother hid my car keys to punish me for talking to a woman on the phone. She was right to do it."
Oh, the Psycho reference. Love it.
Did that happen in Psycho?
It doesn't happen in Psycho, but they've referred to Skinner as Norman Bates before. So
I mean, his mother is modeled after the dead body at the end of Psycho. That's true.
So I feel like this is kind of like that reference. I don't know what the actual reference is, but in my brain, it's a Psycho reference.
Yeah, between Norman Bates and his mother. Yeah, I mean, kind of makes sense.
So Lisa informs the kids to be extra nice to Bart today, because Bart's a little shaken up by his dream, and the kids just laugh at him. And Jimbo's like, "Where's your diaper, baby?" And he pantses Bart in front of the kids. And Martin's like, "Oh, thank God, Bart's taking the heat off me for my shirt, which reads Wang Computers."
Real computer company, by the way.
Yes.
Was it really?
When I first got to MTV, in fact, when this episode was on, I was using a Wang VS terminal at MTV, probably.
Oh, wow.
They were all connected together. The only problem was that you didn't have to sign into your terminal. So people would just sit at your terminal and write a crazy email to everyone at Viacom. It was an odd place.
So did Wang have their own operating system, or was it Microsoft based?
Yeah, Wang VS. VS was very similar to Unix, and it was, it was all cursor based.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Prompter based.
Okay.
No wonder it didn't last.
Yeah, they didn't have vision, but they had a cool name.
Yeah.
It really stuck out in the marketplace. Bye.
Oh boy. So Bart looks out the side of the window and he sees a gremlin on the side of the bus starting to tear up the bus.
Yes. Yeah. And Bart, wants Milhouse to look out the window, but Milhouse was not doing it because it'll leave him open to wedgies, wet willies, and even the dreaded Rear Admiral.
That's funny. I've never heard it called a Rear Admiral, but I'm guessing that's sort of it's not the atomic wedgie.
Yes.
A man was killed by his father they were fighting, and the father gave him an atomic wedgie and it choked him to death. They couldn't get the elastic band off of his neck in time and he died.
Is that one of those fake stories like Kevin Smith on the airplane? The guy was jacking off and
it's a family show,
and they wanted to know if he finished. Or is that actually a true story?
That sounds truer than the one I told. But the one, let me see, man killed by atomic wedgie. Here we go. This was Oklahoma man pleads guilty in atomic wedgie death. May 14th, 2015. Bradley Davis, 34. Pleaded. Oh, he killed his dad it was the son killed the dad with the atomic wedgie.
Jeez.
You don't want to mess with that atomic stuff.
No, you do not.
No. So Bart tells Otto, about the gremlin on the side of the bus. And he's like, "Otto, you got to do something. There's a gremlin on the side of the bus." And he looks at his Hans Mole Man driving an AMC gremlin in the next lane. I was like, "Hey, no problemo, Bart, dude. I'll get rid of it." And then Otto rams Mole Man off the road. And I like how he doesn't hit the tree, yet his car still explodes.
Yeah, it's a gremlin.
It's a gremlin.
Yeah.
If it were a Pinto, it would have been a sharper joke, but that wouldn't have worked with the whole, we needed a gremlin.
Well, I do like the Simpson and their flop car references. Like when Homer's chasing Ned Flanders. I think that episode's actually coming up. Homer's Love Flanders. When Homer's chasing Rod, Todd, Maude, and everyone down the road. And the Todd is like, "Step on it, Dad." "I can't. It's a Geo."
Wow.
So
that's when you're just like, you know what, sponsors, you can go to hell. I'm just gonna.
But yeah, I do like that the Simpsons do make fun of really poorly made car companies.
Yes.
And so
it's just one of the three things to love about the Simpsons.
Yeah. And so Bart tells everyone there's a monster on the side of the bus, and everyone gets up to look at it. Even Otto gets up to go check. And Milhouse is like, shouldn't you be driving the bus? Oh yeah, sorry. And then runs back to the steering wheel. And then we cut to space where King and Kodos are in their spaceship, making fun of Bart being frightened of a creature that doesn't exist. And I love the laughing bit because I never know if they're doing it to extend an episode or just to do it as a running gag.
I think the first thing they did it was to extend the episode, and so they just continue to
gag, yeah. And then we see the gremlin appear, starting to rip apart the ship. And I've watched this episode so many times, and now I'm trying to remember if that gremlin was always there in the episode. And I was going to take out my VHS tapes that have all my Treehouse of Horrors episodes on it and watch it to see if it was actually there. And
I'm sure it was.
My guess is it had to have been.
Are you having like a Mandela effect moment?
He might be.
He honestly, I remember them laughing. I remember the shot where they go to space and they're laughing at Bart, but I can't remember the gremlin on the side of the ship.
Yeah. Well, just think about it this way. Do you think anybody wants to spend the money to go back and change an already extremely successful episode of a show and then every version of it? Probably not.
Well, no. I mean, they went back and changed Star Wars. They went back and changed Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but you know why they did that? George Lucas. I was writing a script with John Milius, who had written the final draft of Star Wars and Jaws and a bunch of movies, and he also wrote Conan and directed it. He's a big Hollywood guy, and he said that George went back and changed just enough of those movies so that he could release them as original movies and not have to pay all the people that had a piece of them. So that was one reason for going back and changing them.
That makes sense.
But also, he was in the digital age and he was at the forefront of digital animation. So he was able to, re-envision a lot of the stuff that, John Milius aside, he re-envision all these scenes that he couldn't really make with the technology of the time. So with the Simpsons, the technology didn't really change, and so I think that it probably was this. I think the gremlin was there.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, Skinner comes to Bart because he heard there was a child using his imagination, and he wanted to put a stop to it. Goddamn children using their imaginations. And
That's
so then they stop and pick up Willie, because his mule wouldn't walk in the mud, so he had to put 17 bullets in him.
Seems a little excessive, Willie.
And so now Milhouse.
Otherwise, Willie being the modicum of being the paragon of all things normal and not extreme.
Yes, Willie is quite insane.
Yes, he is.
So Milhouse goes to sit with Uter because he can't sit with Bart anymore, and Uter has a bag of Joy Mit iodine. Yet at this point, it's kind of funny because he's not called Uter. He's actually referred to as that foreign exchange student.
But they call him Uter in the episode, don't they?
They do, yeah. Towards
after this.
After this, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's referring to the fact that Germans, he's based on Augustus Gloop from Willy Wonka.
Yep.
But the Germans have all this. I had German neighbors growing up, and they would have things like, "Would you like some?" And then they would say some preposterous name, and I'm like, what is it? And they're like, it's licorice with 360 milligrams of sodium in it. And I'm like, sure, I'll take some. And you're like drinking, gallons of water for the next few days. You can see into the future. You're just like, this candy's so awful.
I've heard a lot of foreign countries and their candy is just so more complex than here in America.
That's because they do it wrong. USA.
And so Bart gets tied down, and Uter sits next to Bart, and he's like, "Would you like a look of my?" God, now I can't remember the name of it. God,
my German lickable pop thing.
Yeah, and he licks it, and he's like, ugh. It's like, well, now that we're friends, would you mind untying me? It's like, sure. And so he unties Bart and tries to go get the emergency flares, but Jimbo actually has them, and he's stuffing them into Martin's shorts. And Bart,
Martin Short is in the episode?
Martin's shorts, yes. And goes and grabs one of them out, but one of the emergency flares falls out, so Bart obviously needs to put it back, because it's got to be there. And so Bart opens up the window and pulls the emergency release, and the pressure like getting sucked out is obviously in reference to the episode from Twilight Zone where the whooshing of
they're on a plane. Yeah.
Yes.
They're on a plane.
But this is just a bus, and it's a sea level, assuming it's sea level because there's a marina nearby.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's for some reason the pressure is equal to that of an airplane. It's crazy.
Yes. It's amazing. I love the fact that as this is all happening, Homer just drives by and says hi to Bart. Just the random appearance of Homer.
And then he blows his horn again too. He still has his marina stuff.
Yeah, that was great. So Bart is like flailing out the window, and Skinner and Willie are trying to pull him back in, and Skinner's like, pull harder, and Willie's like, I'm doing all the pulling.
And then he calls him some Scottish, some put down, referencing his manhood.
Yes. And so Bart is able to hit the gremlin with the flare, which knocks the gremlin off the bus, and he rolls and gets hit by Flanders. And so Flanders gets out. He's like, oh, it's a little weird creature. And he takes his coat and he wraps the gremlin in it. And the gremlin's like trying to claw him. And Flanders is like, oh, he's trying to claw my eyes out. And he like hugs the gremlin. You see the face, and the gremlin's like, what do I do? Oh, so
nice.
Yeah.
I do like the character design of the gremlin. It's very Dr. Seussy.
Yes, I did like the character design as well. And so now we're at the school, and the bus is just all scratched up. The wheel is like falling off.
Look at the bus. I was right. I tell you, I was right. Right or wrong, your behavior was still disruptive, young man. Perhaps spending the remainder of your life in a madhouse will teach you some manners. And then Nelson does his ha-ha.
Yeah. And so, they put Bart in the ambulance for the New Bedlam Institute. Mental hospital. Thank you. And as the ambulance drives away, Bart is like, oh, now I can get some rest. But the gremlin appears at the window, and he has cut off Flanders' head. And Flanders like, hello, Bart, or whatever. Hidely ho, Bart. Yeah. So that's how that's that's
the word bedlam means madness and craziness.
Yes.
And it actually comes from, there was a hospital in the 1400s in London, the St. Mary of Bethlehem, and its nickname was Bedlam, and it's where they would take the crazy folks, and that's where we get the word bedlam. So just a fun little aside for you.
Okay.
Facts don't always have to be amusing or even interesting.
No. Well, that was interesting. I enjoyed it. So now we get to the final story. Bart passes by some more paintings. The last one he passes by is Bart behind an apple, which is I'm probably gonna butcher this name, but Magritte.
Magritte.
Renee
Magritte.
Okay. So
you've never seen those paintings with there's a man's, like usually men in bowler hats and Savile Row suit with an apple floating over their head or in front of their face?
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I probably have. This is
Paul Simon wrote a song about it. Just there's a song even. I'm trying to find a way in for you guys to actually expose yourself a little bit to art.
Hey,
art smart.
I've seen it.
So this is the self-portrait, The Son of Man. We get Lisa playing the saxophone, which is based off Picasso's Three Musicians. And the final one, the most famous painting of all that we have all seen, Dogs Playing Poker.
Yeah.
And Bart's like, it's like, it'll drive a man insane. And Homer comes in and he's like, they're playing poker. And like, he just goes crazy.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And then Bart is like, well, we had a tail, but it was so twisted that we just decided to throw something together with vampires. Enjoy.
Yeah. So we get Bart Simpson's Dracula, which is obviously going to be a parody of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Directed by
Francis
Ford Coppola.
Yep.
Starring
what's his
Keanu and Winona Ryder and what's his name from
Brad Pitt? No, not Brad Pitt.
No. You know who it is who played Dracula? Plays him at all the different ages.
Oh my God.
Did you ever see True Romance? He plays the drug dealer. He's plays Commissioner Gordon in the Dark Knight series.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, there we go.
There we go.
I could not pull that one up. Sorry.
I knew I was going to get one of those movies you said.
He's in that painting in that museum. Just kidding. That was not a reference I would have used.
Yeah.
No. All right. So the picture of we also see the picture of the boat in the living room is replaced by the dogs playing poker in the Simpsons living room when we get our first shot. So that's remember, I think did they sell that painting, the boat painting, in the last episode at
she tried to. We don't know if she did.
I think she did because they replaced it by the dog painting.
This is non-canon, Steve.
No.
Yeah, it's also it's mise en scène. It's where you take, for example, you might tilt up to see a clock and then dissolve to another clock in another room and tilt down and you're somewhere else. It's a connecting visual element.
Yes.
All right.
Very cinematic.
So we get Kent Brockman on the news talking about another person having his blood sucked out of him. And a cape with Dracula found on it was at the scene.
Wonder who it is.
Chief Wiggum obviously thinks we're dealing with mummies because and they have the Egyptian wing at the museum destroyed.
I love how Eddie throws in a picture of the Mona Lisa into the fire that they show.
Tosses a copy of the Mona Lisa into the fire after Chief Wiggum orders the Egyptian wing destroyed.
It's much bigger than the actual Mona Lisa too, which really bothers me.
Yeah, it's like
Mona Lisa's pretty small.
Isn't it almost like a 10 by 12 or some like?
No, it's bigger than that.
Oh, is it a little bit bigger than that?
Yeah, it's not as big as unless for some reason I just haven't been noticing the character design, and Eddie is much
smaller
than I thought he was.
Could be that too.
No.
So Lisa exclaims, "The police are wrong. We're looking for a vampire." Which Homer says, "Oh, they're just make-believe, like elves, gremlins, and Eskimos."
Yeah, you can't make that joke anymore.
I do like the fact that Lisa calls, she's like, Nosferatu. Yeah. What was the other one? It's like, it started with a D.
I know she did say Nosferatu, but I can't remember any of the other.
It's Vlad the Impaler, Nosferatu. What are some of the other... By the way, Eskimo is now an off-limits word. You can't put that in the show.
Oh, you can't?
No.
Okay. What are they called now?
Well, there's the Inuits, and then there's the different tribal names, and the Eskimo was given because it became a catch-all for a bunch of different, First Nations, and they supposedly you can't. I mean, it's on our can't use it list.
Interesting.
Yep, I guess that one didn't age well with the Simpsons.
Yeah.
So we also learned that Burns buys the Springfield Blood Bank, and when he appears on screen, he has blood coming out of his mouth.
Precious blood.
Because obviously vampires do own the blood bank industry.
Yeah,
they do.
That's what's behind it.
You've never seen Blade?
Yeah.
That's true. Or True Blood.
Yeah.
Which really, I'm sorry. There's a lot of fans out there, but boy, that show. Sucky.
Yeah. So now Burns invites the Simpsons, because I'm guessing he's inviting everyone from the power plant to his country home in Pennsylvania.
Obviously a reference to Transylvania.
Yes. Although I feel like Pennsylvania is a lot more scarier.
I don't know. Is Pennsylvania more scarier than Transylvania, Andy?
I told you about the Broad Street Bullies story. Yes.
I've been to Pittsburgh. I wasn't scared.
No.
Yeah. If you ain't scared in Pittsburgh, you're either stupid or what is this? Oh, I'm not gonna get the line right. Continue. Cut that.
So I like how as they're driving there, Marge's like, Lisa, stop being so suspicious. Did everyone watch their necks like Mr. Burns asked? Because you don't want to have Burns doesn't want to get some sort of disease from your neck while biting it.
No, I like how Homer's like, I sure did, and he has a rag that's basically all black.
Yes.
Oh God.
I love that when they make fun of his terrible hygiene. Isn't there an episode where like he drives by a pork rendering plant and everything in the plant's like, what is that smell?
Yep. That's
I think we already did that episode.
We did that episode. It's when they were hunting for their permanent house, when they needed a bigger house, and one of the houses that they looked at was right by the pork rendering plant.
Yep.
Yep. And Homer likes the smell because obviously, and but yeah, they go to the plant and what's that smell? But yeah, as the Simpsons pull up to the castle, you see an image of Burns appearing in the sky, and that's just Dracula presenting his what's his, not his shadow, but his likeness, or I guess what is that called? I guess I don't know what that's called.
I'm lost. What is he? Who is it? Bart? What?
No, Burns has his kind of like a Batman signal in the sky, but it's
there's a projection of Burns in the sky as they're pulling up to the castle.
Oh, okay. No, that's his reference to in the Bram Stoker's Dracula, that the clouds you kind of see an image of him looking down, like it's just all portent.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's not actually his image; it's the clouds. No. Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. And so Homer rings the doorbell, and it tells the Simpsons to come
Maybe
in.
It is the bat signal to come. I mean, that'd be a funny premise that he's a bat, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing. Yeah. That's why I kind of thought that. But obviously, the cloud thing came from obviously the movie. But I was thinking it was more the bat signal. Yeah. But yeah, he also says more victims for his army of the dead.
Smithers like, sir, you have to take your finger off the button.
Love that.
Oh, that's great. And then Burns is like, oh, son of a bitch. But they cut out the word bitch because
I don't think you can say that on Fox yet.
No. And so the door is open, the Simpsons walk in, and Burns materializes on the stairs. And Burns is wearing like a red dress, and his hair is, he looks like Dracula. And I love the fact that, and then obviously his shadow has a life of its own, and it like as Burns is walking, the shadow is doing its own thing, and he also has pointy fingers like Nosferatu. And I do like the fact that, as they're talking, Burns is like, he walks away and the shadow stays on the wall and it plays with a yo-yo.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was great.
It just is taking it to the next level. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at it. I know where comedy can always be subjective and where it comes from, but it kind of reminded me of Mel Brooks when he did Dracula Dead and Loving It. And Leslie Nielsen's, walks away and his shadow does a similar thing. So I don't know if Dracula Dead and Loving It or Mel Brooks took that specific thing from The Simpsons. Since
I think Dead and Loving It came out before this episode.
No, it was 95.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm just gonna let you guys go. Just don't know who Renee Magritte is, but you are arguing over the finer points of Dracula Dead and Loving It.
So Lisa asks Homer if he noticed anything weird. And Homer, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. This is a Homer quote. Don't get angry at me, but he says Burns' hair looks queer. That didn't really age well. And Burns is like, I heard that, and Homer just blames Bart.
But he's saying like in the sense of a, old-fashioned story, using the word to mean odd and strange. I don't think it's a sexual reference at all. Or orientation reference.
I don't know. Like I don't know.
I'm not defending it because you can say it now. You're right.
Yeah.
But
and so they're sitting down for.
I don't know.
Hey, Robert, it was the style at the time.
It was the style at the time. So now they're sitting down to dinner, and they got the big long.
I'm not defending
table.
it, by the way. I'm just saying maybe that was who knows.
Yeah.
That's why Conan. This was his last show. They're like, that's it, Conan. You had two of those in that one part.
Yeah.
Eskimos and
saying the word queer.
But I don't think Conan wrote this episode. I think who else?
He just did the wraparounds.
He just did the wraparounds. It was Bill Canterbury who wrote this episode.
Or so they tell us. Bill Canterbury is an anagram of Conan O'Brien. I don't know if you knew that.
I was just about to go there. Oh man. So now they're sitting down for dinner, and they're sitting at, they have the long table like you would see in Dracula. And Homer's like, ooh, punch. And Lisa's like, no, Dad, that's blood. And Homer's like, aha, it's free blood. And then drinks it. Oh, God, that's great. So then Lisa, purposely spills blood on her because she's suspicious of the whole thing. And she's like, oh, Bart and I have to go wash up. And Bart's like, you didn't spill any blood on me. And she just takes her bloody hand and just smears it on his face to get him to go. And that was good. And so now they're walking down the hall after, I guess, washing up, and you're snooping around the castle, house, whatever you want to call it. And Bart says, oh, Burns isn't a vampire, but even if he was, there's no way we'd stumble on his secret hiding place. And he hits a button on the wall that triggers his secret room, and it's just the laundry room, which is fantastic. I love it. I love the little twist there. However, they look behind them, and on the wall, there's a sign that says, to secret vampire room, and then a sign that says, no garlic.
Well, those the fixtures all over there first came into filmdom in the silent French depiction of Sleeping Beauty, where where all of the fixtures were alive, like the whole castle was alive. There's a little reference for you.
Okay. So
do not care. Don't care.
I love all the fun facts.
There's a whole world of unbelievable beauty out there that we do not care about.
This is why
we just watch The Simpsons, and if we don't get the reference, there's going to be another one in 10 seconds.
No, this is why we have Andy on our shows, to give us all these fun facts.
Yes.
All right. That's one way of putting it.
Yes.
So Lisa asks if Bart is satisfied, and so they walk down the stairs to the secret lair, or the secret vampire room. Lisa's like, well, Bart, are you satisfied? And Bart's like, well, it's no different than the basement at Grandpa's old folks' home. Which I've never been. I've been to an assisted living care facility. I don't think I've ever been to like a retirement home. I don't know if either of you guys would know this, but do they actually keep coffins at a retirement home?
No.
I don't think that's a thing. I didn't think that was a thing. I had to ask. Maybe some do. I don't know.
They have
no, they're just
people are weird. People are weird. People do weird things.
It's just another, we're so horrible to Grandpa. We put him in a home where they keep coffins handy.
They have a mortuary.
I think is really what they're going for here.
Home, yeah.
Okay. And so there's a book in the middle of the room that reads, Yes, I Am a Vampire by Monty Burns, and forwarded by Steve Allen.
God, I love.
Do you know who Steve Allen is? That one was lost on you guys, right?
Yes. Well,
so Steve Allen was at one time a host of The Tonight Show, but unlike Conan O'Brien, he was very popular. And he had lots of different things. He was a pianist, and he produced all kinds of amazing shows like You Were There for PBS, where he would reenact all these great historical events. Just a great entertainer, but also he never seemed to age. And so that's what this reference is too.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
Famous for looking young until he was dead.
Now, Steve Allen, was he the one that did like the Bart Simpson impersonation in that courtroom, or am I thinking someone else?
No, I think
he might have been a voice.
Yeah, I think he's in a couple
Yeah.
Simpsons episodes so far.
Yeah.
Steve Allen, bizarrely, in his later life, when I first moved to New York, he would just go to this kind of cheesy restaurant in Times Square and sit at the piano and play, not get paid or anything, just be Steve Allen sitting at this piano playing. It was crazy.
Wow.
It was fun.
Yeah. So Lisa, starts, reading the book, and the coffin's open and vampires get out, and Bart, he starts doing impressions of Shemp and Curly, and Lisa's like, yeah, Bart, I saw your impression of Shemp. And then he goes, hey, yeah, I've also seen your Curly too. And the vampires surround him, and one puts like their hand on the book, and this obviously alerts Lisa that there's vampires in the room, so they run away. And as they're running back up the stairs, Bart notices a lever that reads, super fun, happy slide. And Bart's like, well, I should do it, but I'm never going to be here again. So he pulls the lever, and he slides all the way back down to the basement where Burns comes and bites his neck. Because as we see in the next scene, when he first sees him, he's like, it's you, little boy. Because he can't remember Bart's name, which is funny because he can never remember who Homer is. And so, but Burns bites him, as we see in the next scene, because Bart shows back up with Burns. You see the 2 puncture marks in his neck, and Bart's like, nothing eventful happened as I was away. And so Homer, mocks Lisa and saying, "Oh, she has dumb stories like Bart is a vampire and beer kills brain cells. Now let's go back to that building thingy where our beds and TV is." I love that so much. It's so good. Great. It's fantastic.
When you set yourself up for a funny joke, it's great.
Yes, it is.
And so we cut back to the Simpson home, and Lisa's in her bedroom, and Bart appears at Lisa's windows, floating with Janie, Ralph, Milhouse, and Martin.
Yep.
And a reference to that shot is from
I know this.
The Lost Boys.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a vampire movie from the 90s
with
the Brat Pack.
Kiefer Sutherland, right?
It's all the Brat Pack is in it. Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah, they're all in there somewhere. All right, so the Lost Boys.
Yes,
so it was Lost Boys. Yes. I'm giving you a cut point here.
Perfect.
So it was the Lost Boys. With Kiefer Sutherland and
Diane Wiest.
Diane Wiest. That is a pull right there. That would be what sticks out to you from
Corey
that
Feldman.
Movie,
Corey Haim.
Both Coreys are in there.
Yes, they are.
Both of the Coreys, the 2 Coreys. I haven't mentioned this, but probably in this show, but we for the Tonight Show we would go and shoot jaywalk sometimes at the Oakwoods apartments, which were sort of furnished housing for business travelers, and also it's where a lot of young people would come and stay while they were auditioning. It's very close to Universal. You can walk down and be an extra. And since it's been sold, but back then it was sort of a sign of like, oh, you were trying to be an up and coming person, or you were a business traveler. And we were shooting there, and Corey Haim comes running out of the it's not a gift shop there, it's a convenience store, with 5 packs of cigarettes in his hand, and starts talking to Jay. And so we talked to him for a minute. He wanted to be on the show, and he was clearly a mess, and it was really like, oh, this is terrible. And then, this is going to be sad, so prepare yourself, start clenching. Okay. He ended up passing away 3 weeks later.
Jeez.
Oh,
isn't that crazy? We felt terrible. Even though there was nothing we could have done or anything, but it was just such an odd, terrible thing. So he did not, he had a rough go there.
Yeah.
You can cut that part out too.
Okay. All right.
It's only going to be a 15-minute
happy
episode.
Fun time.
Yes.
So Bart crashes through Lisa's window, which they show 3 times, and is that still part of Lost Boys with that with the filming of that, or is that just for dramatic effect?
I don't think they got through. I think you have to invite them in. That was the thing that kind of stuck with me.
Well, Bart lived in the house.
Bart lives there. He doesn't have to be invited into.
Yeah, but once you're a vampire, you got to be invited in.
I believe that sequence of Bart crashing through the window where they shot it 3 different times is. I feel like that's more of a reference to like action movies, maybe.
Yeah. Yes, I think you're right. It's just a trope from action movies
Okay.
where they go to all the expense of doing an actual stunt. They just show it 3 times.
Yeah. And so Homer busts into there, like, tells Bart not to bite Lisa. And it's like, oh, wait, Bart is a vampire. And Abe comes running in with a mallet and Stig says, we need to stab him. And Marge asks Homer, how do you know Bart's a vampire? At which he points at Abe and yells, ah, vampire! And then runs out of the room.
He was just going to kill the boy anyway.
He was just going to kill him anyway,
Yeah.
Oh, God.
and so Bart turns into a bat and flies out the room. And I like how there's the shot of Maggie waving goodbye to Bart.
Yes. Well, back in Terror of 5,000 Feet, you see Maggie playing with, like, some liquid in her bowl. I love those little, like, side gags that happen.
Well, we asked Mike Reese when he was on about the Maggie shots, and they're always saying the baby has to be doing something. If the baby's going to be in the scene, baby's just got to be doing something.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Maggie can't do much, but just be there.
Yep.
But they got to give her things to do. And so Marge says they have to do something. Today he's drinking blood. Tomorrow he could be smoking. Smoking,
very funny.
Folks, smoking is definitely worse than drinking people's blood.
Clearly. You didn't know that? The hierarchy goes smoking and then drinking people's blood.
Yeah.
And then drinking in general.
Yes. So Lisa says they have to kill the head vampire. And Homer was like, kill my boss? Do I dare live out the American dream?
God, that hits way too close to home, by the way. It's just way too close to home.
Well, I'm self-employed, so that would be bad.
Yes, it would.
Yes, don't commit suicide. Homer, so I like how they go to Burns' castle again, and Homer, walking down the stairs, and Homer sees the super fun, happy slide. So, Dad, no.
Oh.
Yep. And so they open up the coffin, and Homer gets ready to, stake him through the heart and starts hitting him. And Lisa's like, Dad, that's his crotch. Oh. So Homer obviously does not know anatomy very well. And then Homer's like, okay. And then he smashes him through the heart, and he turns to mush. And then he turns back into Mr. Burns for just a split second to fire Homer.
That was great.
And so they get back to the Simpsons house thinking, oh, everything's back to normal. And Abe floats in, he's like, I'm a vampire. And then he falls down and his teeth fall out. Oh, my cape's giving me a rash. And then just wanders back out of the room.
Yeah.
Inappropriate jokes about old people.
Yeah. So obviously Lisa's like, oh, I thought we killed the head vampire. And Marge flies in, I'm the head vampire. And so all the Simpsons kind of start floating up because now they're all vampires, and they rush in to get Lisa, and then they stop to wish everyone a happy Halloween. And then they start singing the song from the Peanuts special, Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah, even though there was a Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown special, they picked the Christmas song.
I know.
Yeah.
But then they get the Millhouse playing the tiny piano, Santa's little helper on the thing like Snoopy, and it starts snowing in the background, because obviously right after Halloween, it's Christmas season.
Yes.
My guess is that's probably...
There is no holiday in between Halloween and Christmas. There's absolutely none.
Isn't. You go to Target or Walmart or literally anywhere, the day after Halloween, Christmas shit is up.
Even before Halloween, Christmas stuff.
Yeah, at Costco, it's in August.
Jeez.
What this really tells me is that there was no way out of this sketch. They're just like, well, Marge is and let's just whatever.
And Conan never wrote for The Simpsons again.
So obviously this was a Conan joke, because that's a wraparound. So yeah. I like how we get the closing credits of the episode end with the music. It's a cross between the Simpsons theme song and the Addams Family theme song.
That was kind of dope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a musician, so as far as, songs and putting them together go, but they did a good job doing a really cool mix of putting those together.
Oh, Danny Elfman, we love you.
We do.
Danny Elfman did all the music. I guess he did all the music for The Simpsons.
He did the themes. I'm sure they had him involved in all that stuff because it was, his original theme. I'm sure they asked him to help.
Yeah. So, and that's where it ends with some more credits. And if you guys would like to know the credits, I got some of those fun names. So the late, in quotes, the late Bill Oakley, the estate of Josh Weinstein, Greg It's Alive Daniels, the
who we all know as the creator of the American Office.
Yep. What was the next one?
Yeah, he did.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, I said go ahead. Yeah, you were waiting for me.
Yep. The disfigured Dan McGrath and the Billis Bill Canterbury, and directed by
Bilious.
Bilious, is that what I said?
Yes, it is.
Isn't it Bilious?
Bilious Bill Canterbury, and directed by Dave Drybones Silverman. So
those are some good names, good Halloween names.
Yep. Very good Halloween names. So
evidently, it's a huge pain in the neck to do those credits because you have to have everything cleared with all the unions that all those guys are in order for them to still receive credit for the show.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking, don't they? Now we'll know next Halloween, but I think don't they change those names every single Halloween? Like they don't use the same names in the credits every Halloween special.
I don't.
They
remember.
might. They don't. It doesn't seem like a huge lift coming up with those names, though. Like I don't think it's like, well, that's a whole week gone by, and we're still getting through the.
Yeah, but
it's not like they do these 750, Korean animators.
Yeah, no. I guess to my point, I was wondering is if it's a pain in the ass to change the name, would you have to do that? If you do it once, do you have to do it again if you kept it the same at every Halloween special, or do you have to do it every Halloween special?
I think you'd have to do it every time just to make sure that it's all connected up.
Oh, gotcha. All right. So that was fun, guys. I do love my Treehouse of Horrors, and we're the next string of them. Probably the next 5 to 7 of them are just classic Treehouse of Horrors. Some of my favorite episodes. So
this is probably.
If you learned anything, it's that the one we just did isn't that good.
No,
I love this
what
one.
You're saying.
This
I
one
want to tell you the next one. Ooh, that next one.
Don't let me in with Steve. I love this one. This was probably one of my favorite Treehouse of Horror. Honestly, it's almost one of the best Simpsons episodes. I think.
I love it. And to this point in the show, they're telling you what they're doing. Like they're saying, we get this chance to take nothing seriously and really have fun and do parody and all that stuff.
And all the parodies are great, and you get some classic, Simpsons lines, and I love this one. This is probably my favorite.
There's references for movie fans. There's references for museum goers.
What's a museum again? Oh, it's that place where they have all the things that are old, right? That's what a museum is.
That's right. Yeah, there's a couple museum references in there. The Egyptian wing. Burning the Mona Lisa? Come on.
Isn't that thing supposed to be at the Louvre, not in Springfield? Must have been.
It is at the Louvre. It would be very unlikely to find it at the. You'd be more likely to find it at the Springfield Marina.
Than at the Louvre.
I got nothing.
Yeah. All right.
No, never mind.
All right, guys. Well, let's close it out here for where you can find us. Head over to Facebook. Type in the Simpsons Did It podcast. You'll find us on there. Be sure to, if you don't listen to us anywhere else, our podcast is now linked to our Facebook account. So when you go to our Facebook page, you'll be able to click on the link and just listen to our podcast straight from Facebook. You can head over to Instagram, the Simpsons Did It pod, Twitter, Simpsons Did It PC. If you'd like to donate to our podcast, we always are taking donations to help us do merch. Feel free to donate at buymeacoffee.com/Simpsons Did It. So lastly, come check out our YouTube channel where you can see all of our backlogged episodes.
They're front logs.
What's that?
Front log.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Now every time I say the word back, Andy's going to say forward.
Yep.
So let's move forward with this podcast.
You sure you don't want to move back?
I won't respond. I'm not biting on that one.
Okay. So yeah, come check us out on there. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment so we can read it online. And lastly, we have a phone number where you guys can give us a phone call and just leave a voicemail. Let us know thoughts, how we're doing.
Or just to listen to our hilarious voicemail done by,
Jaden LeBron.
Yeah, Jaden.
So yeah, I don't think you've been on since we've done this, Andy. So I don't know if you know who Jaden LeBron is. He does a lot of Simpsons voices. He's.
I only know him from your voice message.
Okay, have you listened to it?
That's.
Or no?
Sure.
You haven't listened.
That's
to
a lie. Sure.
I kept typing / I couldn't get to it.
Well, this was a phone number. Thank God. You should be fine. But Jaden LeBron, he's actually got a job working on the Great North TV show, which is kind of cool on Fox.
Yay.
So
good for him.
Check him out on YouTube if you haven't. He's a really, really cool guy. He's been a guest on our show. But listen to our voicemail, 612-584-0986. Check out that message.
That number again?
612-584-0986.
There we go.
But yeah, check it out. The voicemail is really funny. It's he did a really, really good job. So nothing else, listen to that, but leave a voicemail and you can hear yourself on one of our podcast episodes. So Andy, I know you have some new things that you'd probably like to tell people, where they can find you and things you've done in the past half a year.
Let's see. Sure. I mean, the You Bet Your Life with Jay Leno game show is on for an hour every day somewhere in your market. It could be on at 2 in the afternoon. It could be on at 11 at night. It could be on at 7. Who knows? It's a mystery. And I'm, zeroing in. Kevin and I are doing some writing together that we will announce on the show sometime in the next few months.
Cool.
And then I'm looking down the barrel of another season of game shows. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Andy, again for coming on. We always enjoy it. And until next time, I'm Steven Zombie Skalansky.
And I'm Robert Bones Skalansky.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, Andy McElfresh.
I was going to have you do that one.
So until next time, this has been The Simpsons Did It.
Shh.